are all Ukraine.
Jack Lopresti.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. The people of Ukraine are suffering in a manner we in Britain are unaccustomed to in recent times, and we are justly horrified by. Russian forces are committing war crime after war crime with no regard for civilians, including women and children. Whilst visiting the Ukrainian town of Irpin, just northwest of Kiev in February of this year, I saw what the local Ukrainians referred to as the cemetery of burnt cars. This was what was left on a day when families had packed what they could to escape the Russian advancing forces, but did not make it out because the Russians fired upon them, killing those attempting to escape. Madam Deputy Speaker, it could not even be said that they were killed by stray, small arms rounds. But looking at the holes in the back of the cars and the side of the cars, the number and the size of them, it demonstrated clearly to anyone that these poor people were deliberately targeted by heavy weapons. Now, all this is taking place on the continent of Europe, in a sovereign state with a parliamentary democracy. The people of Ukraine are fighting for their lives and for their freedom, their democracy, our shared values. In August, I was able to visit the front line south of the city of Zaporizhia. I spoke with some of the troops, and it was great to see the very high morale among them. Many of those brave men were trained in the UK, especially the gunners who were trained at the Royal School of Artillery in Larkhill. I was very proud to see British kit and equipment being used in the fight to eject Russians from Ukraine. I saw an AS-90 gun, which had come from my son's regiment, 1 Royal Horse Artillery. And the Ukrainian gunners spoke to me on how they preferred British ammunition because the charge bags did not fall apart and the gun barrels needed less cleaning. We saw the guns in action, with rounds landing on Russian targets. They asked me to convey their thanks to the Prime Minister, the Government and the House of Commons for our unwavering, ongoing support. For Ukraine to win the war, the Government must continue to provide such equipment, weapons, training and aid. I welcome my right honourable friend, the Prime Minister's announcement of plans for an additional UK-led training programme to include Ukrainian fighter jets and Marines. Over this weekend, I made my third visit so far to Ukraine. I attended the Yalta European Strategy conference with some other members from across the House, in which we discussed the power, importance and profundity of Ukraine's ideals, how helping Ukraine is best for global peace, for security and the global economy, and how we may bring this illegal, bloody, terrible war to an end. Since this war started in 2014 with the invasion of Crimea and the subsequent expansion of Russian aggression in February 2022, the people of Ukraine have proven themselves a strong, determined and fiercely patriotic people who are passionate about defending their home, a home of beautiful and diverse landscapes, as well as a culture and traditions which are preserved. With many refugees from Ukraine now living in our constituencies in the United Kingdom, I hope members across the House have sought to experience this culture along with many of our fellow constituents. The United Kingdom coming to the aid of Ukraine is imperative to defend the freedom of our friends overseas. But those working on this noble effort are also contributing much here at home. The MOD DENS Abbeywood in my constituency, which means Defence Equipment and Support, employs several thousand MOD personnel who are not only running procurement scheme, or in fact the entire procurement for our armed forces, but are largely ensuring Ukrainians are getting all the equipment they need. At a recent PMQs back in June, the Prime Minister joined me in paying tribute to all the work they are doing. In addition, there are several defence companies in my constituency with hard-working teams working around the clock, developing the technology and equipment which will continue to help the Ukrainians liberate their country. And also, as Chairman of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Sovereign Defence Manufacturing Capability, these are issues I am following closely. Indeed, upon attending an event hosted here in the House of Commons by Leonardo and BAE Systems, we discussed the incredible support the British defence manufacturing sector is providing the Ukrainian military. And whilst in Ukraine in August, I also met with the then Ukrainian Defence Minister, Oleksiy Reznikov, to discuss defence procurement and how our countries are and will continue to work together in this area. And to that end, the APPG is currently running an inquiry on the impact of the Ukrainian war on the resilience of our defence industrial capacity and capability, not only to supply and continue to supply and support the Ukrainians, but also to look at our own stocks and how we can replenish them. I've been in discussions with British companies who want to cooperate with their Ukrainian counterparts. The need for closer cooperation between our two countries is urgent. Unfortunately, some elements of the bureaucratic machinery here seems to have not quite yet woken up to the urgency of the situation. The Ukrainian defence industry has high levels of skill, innovation, synergy and capacity for manufacturing advanced technology, as well as basic mechanical components. They need the material, they need it now, and what is more, they want us to produce some of it jointly. Ukraine is a significant trading partner of the UK, the EU and our NATO partner, Turkey. Ukraine's exports of iron ore, semi-finished iron, seed oils, wheat and corn are important, indeed vital to the rest of the world, as has been demonstrated by recent difficulties for Ukraine to export these goods. In order for foreign direct investment to return to Ukraine, Russian forces must be out of the country entirely and programmes put in place to ensure peace, stability and protection from attack. This will provide better security of commercial assets, factories, offices, technological systems and so forth. Therefore, securing a victory for freedom in Ukraine, as well as the stability of the region, is of the utmost importance for helping to maintain global trade, peace and security. Only once Russian forces are expelled from the whole of Ukraine, Russia will learn that they cannot prey again upon Ukraine, or allies such as Poland or Estonia, without terrible and catastrophic consequences for their actions. Guaranteeing security and stability in the region is also of paramount importance for the resumption of trade in and out of Ukraine, as well as for foreign direct investment in the country. For this to be achieved, however, we must be willing to do whatever it takes to help defend our friends and defeat the Russians. In terms of a future for Ukraine, the United Kingdom should be at the centre of promoting security guarantees for the country, assisting and supporting their application for NATO membership. The rebuilding of towns, cities and infrastructure must be a priority for the international community. Proposals such as this being part of future foreign aid expenditure, incentivise FDI from the British private sector, in addition to the multilateral asset transfer and other reparations, are all worthwhile suggestions for funding the reconstruction. To sum up, Madam Deputy Speaker, the United Kingdom's defence sector, much of which is based in my constituency, has been at the forefront of defending freedom in Ukraine, and I have seen this firsthand on the front line. His Majesty's Government must continue to lead and ramp up support for Ukraine to ensure victory and a lasting peace, rebuilding the country and to promote the rebuilding of their economy and prosperity in their country. Together with Ukraine, with the Ukrainians and the help of our allies, we will finish the job.
Alex Soap.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. It's